Well, what a way to start the noon show. Talk about a cool Thursday. A rocket blasting off hours after SpaceX successfully launched what they say is the world's most powerful rocket. But the endeavor ended in dramatic fashion shortly after liftoff with an explosion. But don't worry, no one was on that rocket when that happened. Thanks for joining us today at noon. I'm Jurnee Taylor. Now, everything looked like it was going to plan, but take a listen as the team watching it happen noticed something was off.
We saw the start of the flip, but obviously we're seeing from the ground cameras the entire Starship stack continuing to rotate. We should have had separation by now.
The flight of the unmanned Starship rocket only lasted about 4 minutes before it exploded and crashed into the Gulf of Mexico. Now, the goal for the test flight was to send the nearly 400-foot rocket on a round-the-world trip, but the team behind it says today's launch is part of a marathon, not a sprint. Now, moments after the explosion, SpaceX founder Elon Musk congratulated his team, saying they've, quote, learned a lot for the next test launch in a few months. Musk says that a new test launch is already in the works to ensure that cargo and crew can go to Mars and beyond. Now, Nathan, did you spend a lot of time growing up watching space launches? Because I don't remember a lot of this when I was growing up.
I don't remember too much either in the form of space launches, but I feel for the people that came up with all that, the engineers, you know, they're going to extreme highs and then within seconds, it's just extreme lows.
But they were cheering. I thought, if I'm not listening right, I thought they were cheering.
They were cheering before the thing blew up.
Okay.
Because it got up in the air, and then once it started to make that transition, I'm sure they were not cheering anymore because things went sour. Speaking of things going sour, our weather is going to turn sour here in Central Arkansas. We've enjoyed the start of the day with dry weather. There has been some sun, and now the clouds are moving in from the west. Temperatures have warmed up into the mid to upper 70s. And it's also on the windy side. Those winds kicking in from the south-southwest, about 10 to 20 miles per hour. The radar showing a few showers trying to bubble up with the daytime heating. There was one lone storm into Yell County that has fizzled out. The front, though, now knocking at our doorstep, slicing its way through Oklahoma, about to enter into Arkansas. That's going to be the trigger for scattered showers and storms to develop through the course of the afternoon into this evening. And here's the latest from the Storm Prediction Center. We're still looking at the potential that a few storms may become severe. And what we're looking at is the potential of maybe some damaging wind gusts, dime to quarter size hail. The tornado threat, very, very low, but it cannot be ruled out. I'll have more on the situation expected out there through the rest of your Thursday and what we can expect for Friday into the weekend coming up.
Well, developing right now, a Pulaski County jail inmate is still on the run this afternoon. Multiple agencies are now searching for the escapee. 56-year-old Henry Haddon is to be considered dangerous, according to the Sheriff's Department. Haddon was jailed for domestic battery, along with other unrelated drug charges to which he had pled guilty, receiving a 35-year sentence. His escape was discovered in one of the 3 daily head counts, and investigators have an idea as to how he may have gotten out.
We noticed there was some damage to the fence on the exercise yard, apparently where he got through the fence. We believe he may have been injured trying to get through the razor wire.
Well, search teams are now going to known locations where Henry may be located. A potentially life-saving training is happening later today, and it's aimed at preparing you for the worst case scenario. The Arkansas Tech University Department of Public Safety is offering a free civilian workshop on active shooter situations. Now, we've covered active shooter training by law enforcement in recent years, like you see in this video from Conway Police training in a high school. But today's workshop at Tech is different. It's in a classroom setting and is open to the public. The training is broken down into several components, including the definition of an active threat compared to an active shooter, key takeaways like what not to do in an active shooter situation, and also how people respond to high stress situations.
Because I have been doing this for years and I have experienced a lot of those questions, denial is that one thing that maybe takes a lot of people off guard. They didn't really know and understand why denial is a thing and how strong denial can be in a high stress situation especially.
Now, this training is again taking place tonight in the Doc Bryan Student Services Center Lecture Hall on the ATU campus in Russellville. It will run from 6 to 7:30 p.m.
Hearing the stories of people huddled up in their homes, my own family huddled in a closet under the stairs about a quarter mile from where the storm hit. It just hits differently.
Governor Sarah Sanders there talking to CHV 11's Craig O'Neill Wednesday. You heard her reflecting on her experience leading Arkansas during and after the tornadoes and how it's impacted her. Definitely not ideal or what she expected coming in. Now, later on, she also addressed the press on her first 100 days in office. She expressed gratitude towards legislators for supporting and being dedicated to her policies and gave them credit for what she's accomplished so far. Now, she says everything hasn't been perfect, but overall, she's happy with the way things have gone, especially education reform.
I ran to be a change maker, not a caretaker of the status quo. We came here to shake things up. And I think that's exactly what we have done over these first 100 days. The change that we are bringing to the education system in Arkansas is transformational, and it is going to have an impact for generations to come long after all of us here are finished.
Well, Congress is running out of time to raise the country's debt limit to pay for the bills it has already passed. Failure to do so could have a big impact on the U.S. economy. Nicole D'Antonio has more details from Capitol Hill.
America has a $31 trillion debt, and Washington is on the clock.
Congress has until sometime this summer to raise the debt limit or have the country default on its debt for the first time in history.
We are introducing the Limit, Save, Grow Act of 2023.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy introduced a plan Wednesday that would raise the debt ceiling by $1.5 trillion or through March of next year, whichever comes first. But it would prohibit the implementation of President Biden's student loan forgiveness program, and it would put in place work requirements for programs such as Medicaid and SNAP.
House Republicans are taking action to lift the debt limit, to limit government spending, save taxpayers money, and grow the economy.
Speaker McCarthy wants to vote on the bill next week, but he can only afford to lose 4 GOP votes and still pass the bill. Right now, it's not clear if he can get enough votes. Some Republicans, like Congressman Andy Biggs of Arizona, say they want to see more cuts before they'll vote yes, while Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett says he won't support any plan to raise the limit, adding he's prepared to go over the cliff. Meanwhile, the White House insists Congress needs to raise the limit with no strings attached.
Our position continues to be to not negotiate over default. This is something that is the responsibility, the obligation of congressional members. They were able to do this 3 times in the last administration.
Even if McCarthy can get his plan through the House, it is dead on arrival in the Senate. Nicole D'Antonio, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Well, at least one Democratic senator applauded Speaker McCarthy's plan. West Virginia Democrat Joe Manchin says that President Biden needs to negotiate with Speaker McCarthy to find a solution to the debt limit. Well, also on Capitol Hill today, the House passed the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act. The bill would ban transgender women and girls from competing in female school sports. Now, Arkansas passed a similar law back in 2021, though today's bill passed the House. It's expected to fail in the Senate, and President Biden has also promised to veto it if it makes it to his desk. An IRS supervisor is looking for whistleblower protections from federal lawmakers. An attorney for a supervisory special agent at the IRS says his client has information that suggests an investigation into Hunter Biden is being improperly influenced by politics and special treatment. Attorney Mark Lidos says the employee has been with the IRS for more than a decade and has extensive documentation to support the allegations. Last month's tornado is putting a strain on resources, especially Arkansas's blood supply. It's now reaching critical low levels. It's something Executive Director Carvin Brown expects to see after such chaos. But when that happens, it prevents the Blood Institute from providing hospitals with what they need when they need it. Now, currently, the state distributes more blood than it collects. So to put it into some perspective, listen to this. Those with Arkansas Blood Institute describe their need as needing to fill War Memorial Stadium twice over, and everyone seated both times gives a blood donation. So Brown says the need for a solid donor base is always there, especially now as they're seeing a lull.
It's not to feel bad about it, but that is our reality right now. There is a gap between what we have available on the shelves and what we distribute, what our donor base brings in, and what the hospitals need. And so I think when we give that education, people will respond. Because I'm a firm believer that people want to help. They absolutely want to help. Sometimes they just need to know how.
Well, if you're one of those who would like to help but don't know how, or if you can, just visit obi.org/where and you can set up an appointment. Well, another reason to choose healthier drinks in just minutes, how sugary drinks could lead to an increased risk of death. But first, lots happening in the weather department. Let's check in with Nathan.
Jurnee, the clouds are rolling in from the west, and eventually those clouds will produce heavy rain at times, thunder, lightning. Windshield wipers will be getting a workout for the evening rush. I'll have more on the timeline and talk about your weekend forecast coming up.